Let's be real, if you bought AMD, AMD, stock on January 2, 2025, you probably didn't pop up juices. In fact, you might have reached for a stress ball instead. After a breathless 2023 to 2024 run, where AMD became the it name in both CPUs and AI GPUs, the company's share price has spent the first few months of 2025 wading through mud. How bad? By late March, AMD's stock was essentially flat for the year, trailing behind both the Nasdaq and even its old rival Intel. Investors who once cheered every Lisa Su tweet have been sighing through earnings calls, murmuring, "Are we there yet?" in hushed tones. Why the sluggish start? A few reasons: data center headwinds. While AMD's EPYC server CPUs had enjoyed runaway success in late 2023 and early 2024, the hyperscalers, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, started trimming server orders in Q4 2024 and Q1 2025 as they grappled with macro uncertainties. That directly cut into AMD's data center revenue growth. AI GPU competition. The Nvidia H100 and H200 GPUs remained the gold standard for training large language models, and customers continued to buy them, sometimes in frustratingly large volumes, leaving AMD's Instinct MI300X and MI325X in Defender mode, particularly as Nvidia teased its Blackwell architecture. Broader tech sell-off. February and March saw tech stocks swoon on rumors of higher interest rates and fears of a cooling AI spending spree. Even the steadiest winners of 2024 got tossed from their pedestals. AMD simply got swept up in the tide. So yes, 2025 didn't roar off the starting blocks for AMD. But that doesn't mean there aren't reasons to break out the kazoo and start a slow clapping marathon. Let's dive into why the next several quarters could see AMD's stock wrestling its way back to glory. Last year's AI chips, MI300X and MI325X. AMD's sluggish start narrative mostly overlooks what happened in the second half of 2024, when AMD launched its next-gen AI accelerators. Think of MI300X as the AI coprocessor on steroids. A chip that integrates a 64-core EPYC CPU with 8 CDNA3 GPU chiplets, all sharing 128 GB of HBM3 memory. Then came MI325X, a distilled version for higher-density GPU clusters, boasting 288 GB of HBM3E memory and ultra-wide memory buses. These weren't just incremental updates. They were AMD's signal flare aimed straight at Nvidia's fortress. MI300X hit the market in September 2024, leveraging TSMC's leading-edge 5nm node for the GPU chiplets and TSMC's 5nm or 7nm node for the CPU portion, details still fuzzy. The result was a fused CPU/GPU design that let data flow at lightning speeds between host memory and GPU memory. In benchmarks, MI300X outperformed previous AMD cards by over 2 times on certain inference workloads, thanks to that colossal 1 TB/s plus HBM3 bandwidth. MI325X, which started shipping to major cloud providers in late Q4 2024, with widespread system availability slated for Q1 2025, is essentially a GPU-only device with AMD's optimized CDNA3 architecture. It's like MI300X's souped-up little brother, same memory bus, same high-density HBM3 stacks, but stripped of the on-chip CPU cluster so that you can pack more GPUs into a single rack unit. These chips were AMD's answer to Nvidia's H100 and H200, an attempt to capture AI training and inference, dollar for dollar. Even though demand for MI300X/MI325X was healthy but not frenzied, Nvidia's installed base still dwarfed AMD's. The products put AMD on the short list for cloud providers evaluating GPU architectures for their future AI data centers. By the way, if you are benefiting from the content so far and want more like this, like the video, it means much to me. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell, and comment the word more. Just go ahead and type the word more so I know. Now that you have commented, let's continue. Why investors are wiping the sleep from their eyes. Okay, so those new AI chips arrived. But if adoption was slow and steady, how can anyone get excited? Good question. The underlying story is that AMD's 2024 built out of R&D, manufacturing alliances, and data center relationships is finally peaking. Here's why investors are starting to squint at AMD with renewed hope. Bigger chip investments equals bigger comeback potential. Over the last 12 to 18 months, AMD poured billions into R&D for advanced packaging to tie together multiple GPU chiplets with next-gen Infinity Fabric. Co-development deals with HP, Dell, and Gigabyte to preload MI325X into server designs for Q1 2025 deployments. Capacity commitments at TSMC, ensuring AMD can secure early lots of 5nm wafers before Nvidia or Apple gobble them all up. The equation is simple. You can't catch up to Nvidia if you can't build enough chips, and you can't build enough chips if you don't reserve fab capacity. By signing big volume deals with TSMC, rumored to be $5 to $7 billion in wafer commitments across 2024 to 2026, AMD is ensuring it won't be shut out of the most advanced nodes. That's like booking front row seats before the Beyoncé concert sells out. Early system wins and validation. Late 2024 saw companies like Lenovo and Supermicro showcasing MI325X-based AI servers at industry events, with cloud providers and big enterprises demoing transformers on MI300X/MI325X platforms. While Nvidia still reigned supreme, the fact that AMD was sending cards to those demos signaled, us too, instead of, we're still 3 years away. The market loves seeing customers are already running the silicon, instead of, it's just on paper. Financials begin to reflect AI momentum. AMD's Q4 2024 and Q1 2025 earnings calls featured AI revenue ramp, sound bites. For instance, in Q4 2024, ending December, AMD reported data center and AI revenue of $3.9 billion, up 55% YoY. Granted, a good chunk of that was still EPYC CPU revenue, but the AI accelerator piece grew over 100% from Q3 2024 to Q4 2024, pro forma, and management said MI300X design wins would start contributing meaningful backlog in Q2 2025 onward. That's why even though Q1 2025 might look sluggish, in the context of a broader tech sell-off, the underlying year-over-year growth rates for AI-related segments are still triple digits. In other words, if you squint past the macro noise, AMD's underlying AI growth engine is humming like a Tesla on ludicrous mode. MI350, the next chapter arrives in 2025. Close your eyes and picture the MI350 as MI325XS bigger, badder, GPU-only sibling, but on TSMC's 3nm process with crazy fast HBM3E memory stacks. In October 2024, AMD teased the MI350 for a mid-2025 launch, promising 288GB of HBM3E memory and 6+ TB/s of bandwidth, roughly 20 to 30% more than MI325X. In effect, MI350 is AMD's proposal to amplify performance per watt and crank the density up even further. Why does that matter? Because data center customers, particularly hyperscalers, love to benchmark on performance per rack unit and what's per petaflop. If you can cram 10% more compute into the same electricity and space, you get applause from CFOs and CTOs alike. Rumor mill says AMD has already locked in at least 2 major customers, one of which is a top 3 cloud provider, to test MI350 cluster nodes in Q3 2025. That tells you AMD isn't just chasing Nvidia's tail, they're aiming to outpace it on a cost-performance curve. Now, let's throw in one more dash of cluster-level ambition. TensorWave Partnership, a small startup called TensorWave, backed by high-net-worth investors, is building one of the world's largest AMD GPU clusters, exclusively using MI300X, MI325X, and MI350 when it arrives. Their pitch? AI at cloud scale, just with AMD. They've claimed they'll have 100,000 AMD GPUs deployed by January 2026, providing an open-access platform for AI researchers who don't want to deal with Nvidia's licensing shackles. That kind of buzz, 100K GPUs? That's more GPUs than some national labs, is precisely the social proof investors crave. It's like hearing, "Hey, even the Davids are betting big on AMD to slay the Goliath named Nvidia." When AMD says, "We're building clusters of GPUs," they don't mean stacking two cards side by side. They're talking about entire racks, pods of 64 MI325X GPUs networked together via Infinity Fabric, PCIe Gen 5.0, and AMD's proprietary GPU-to-GPU interconnect, XGMI. In layman's terms, it's the difference between a pair of motorcycles buzzing along and a 16-lane superhighway teeming with AI traffic. Imagine a single AI rack, 42U of servers, kitted out with 24 dual-socket codenamed Barnacle nodes, each node hosting 4 XMI325X GPUs sitting on an EPYC Genoa CPU. The GPUs communicate top speed via XGMI links at 1.6 terabytes per second per link. Once you wire 24 of those nodes together, you can train a 1.2 trillion parameter language model in under 7 days, consuming 120,000 watts per rack. Compare that to 150,000 watts on an equivalent Nvidia H100 cluster. In short, AMD's cluster strategy is to offer a high-density, high-bandwidth, lower-cost per flop alternative to Nvidia's DGX racks that could be shocking Nvidia investors. If we fully obey the Lord, the Creator of heaven and earth, and carefully follow all His commandments, He has promised to set us high above all the nations of the earth. Deuteronomy 28. We shall be blessed when we come in and when we go out. I appeal to you to accept God and let Him be your guide, for He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8. Want more information? Please check the description section. That's the end for now. If you have watched until the end, drop a comment like this: I stayed until the end. Just comment that I stayed until the end. When I see this comment, I will give you a heart. 3 more favors I request from you. First, like this video, subscribe and then turn on the notifications bell. If you do this, you greatly encourage me to continue bringing to you insightful content. Do not miss out on our future videos full of insight. All I am asking is your subscription. Thanks for joining us today. Your support means so much to us. Do not hesitate to share this video to help someone who may benefit. I recommend that you watch the next video, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about today's video. Wish you God's blessings and care. Faith and prayer will do what no power on earth can accomplish. See you in the next video by God's mercy.